Hey everybody, I'm Sarah. Welcome back to Overkill Reviews. This is BangerTV's weekly heavy metal review show. I'm recording another review from Paris, so no, I did not intentionally put that weird pillow that looks like me behind me. It just happens to be in the hotel that I'm staying in. And another thing you might notice is that I'm not wearing a band shirt, and instead I'm wearing a shirt of the endangered Finnish Saimas ringed seal. These very adorable fellows are one of the rarest seals in the world, and they are found only in Lake Saimaa, Finland, and there's less than 500 of them in the world, so yeah, conservation is important. But I'm not here to talk about wildlife, I'm here to talk about heavy metal. I guess they could be considered the same thing. And on that note, I'm going to be reviewing the fourth studio album this week. Oh no, another fourth album review of California-based death metal outfit who took their moniker from a Terrorizer track. You heard it. That was the song Perverting the Funeral Rites, Stripping for the Dead. That is the final track from Ripped to Shreds' fourth studio album, which is called Sanshi. The album is out now via Relapse Records. Ripped to Shreds formed in 2016 in the Bay Area of California, and they are masterminded by multi-instrumentalist and label co-owner Andrew Lee. Lee is a prolific musician who is also featured in Andrew Lee's Heavy Metal Shrapnel, Hoka Go, Grind Time, Azath, and numerous other projects. In addition to co-owning Nameless Grave Productions, which is a very taste-making label, and I wanted to give them a shout out because they've released albums by Dungeon Serpent, which is like a Canadian death metal band, and by Helm's Deep, who you might remember from being featured from my best albums of 2023 video. Musically, Ripped to Shreds has long worshipped at the altar of the Swedish buzzsaw town, mixed with the grinding death metal of Terrorizer and Bolt Thrower, and that lineage has continued throughout their discography. After releasing their 2018 debut, which is called My Zang, in which Lee wrote and performed all the instruments, Lee followed that up with 2020's Luan, which featured a handful of session musicians. He then recruited a band lineup, and that lineup released 2022's Jubian. In 2024, that lineup has slightly shifted again, and Ripped to Shreds now includes bassist Ryan, drummer Brian, and guitarist and vocalist Michael Chavez, who joins Andrew on vocal and guitar duties. Does Sanshi see this relatively new lineup contributing to the writing process? And does the sound of Sanshi offer anything different or refined from Ripped to Shreds' first three albums? Let's find out. Okay, I am going to kick things off with a unequivocal declaration. Sanshi is fun. It's really, really fucking fun. The riffs are interesting, the writing is varied and never feels repetitive or samey. The shredding solos come in unexpected places, and they're all throughout the record. And overall, this record feels like the culmination of four talented musicians rather than one talented musician being stretched thin, which is something that I thought that plagued previous Ripped to Shreds albums. This band has really long hinted at greatness, but with Sanshi, they've actually achieved it. Every time that I finish listening to this record, which by the way, it clocks in at an utterly perfect, never overstaying its welcome 10 tracks spanning 41 minutes, bands, this is the correct album time. I immediately would start it over as soon as it was done. And on that note, if you would like a Cliff Notes version of this album, just go listen to track 4. It is called Visions of Sin, Mirror of Darkness, because it's a fantastic representation of just how diverse and interesting this record is. But I can't play that whole song, so instead I'm gonna talk about some parts that really work from the record itself. One of the things that works is the sing-along choruses. Here is a sing-along chorus from the song Sacrificial Fire. Sacrificial fire. According to an interview that Andrew did with Invisible Oranges, when second vocalist and guitarist Mike joined the fold, Andrew could then write vocal trade-offs and big shout choruses. He continues, our delivery on those parts are inspired by Razor or Demolition Hammer, meant to be punky and high energy. High-low trade-offs are classic Razorback style, but I thought it'd be more interesting to keep our vocals in the same register and allow our personality and unique vocal qualities to differentiate the parts. And you can hear that in the shouted chorus that we just played you from Sacrificial Fire. These sections are scattered throughout the record. They're fun to listen to, and live, they're going to be shouted right back at the band. So, point one, absolute win. Thematically interesting and spoken from an authentic voice instead of a cosplaying British or American band pretending to be Japanese. P.S. trad metal bands, I'm looking at you. Stop ripping off that rising sun imagery. It's fucking lame as fuck. Andrew has long been invested in the history, mythology, and experience of Asian Americans as a person with Taiwanese and Chinese heritage. With Sanshi, he is doing more in this vein, this time specifically focusing on death and the afterlife in traditional Chinese folklore. The album title, Sanshi, itself refers to the Taoist belief of three demonic entities that reside within each person who report your deeds to the higher powers. Elsewhere, you saw the track, the video for the track, Perverting the Funeral Rites, and that is about an obscure Taiwanese funeral rite where exotic dancers perform lithe rituals for the living and dead alike. You will also see that on track 2, which is just an absolute little burst of grinding madness. It's called Force Fed, and it explores the legend of Meng Po's elixir of forgetfulness, which is about a potion that is drunk by the dead to wipe their memories before reincarnation. Similarly, the cover art, which was made by longtime collaborator Guang Yang, which depicts the king of hell, who is named Yan Lu Wang, but is also known as Yamaraja Enma, or Yamra in his demonic court. It's interesting to have a different concept, a different theme, and something that speaks from like your lived experience. Love that. I love when a band does that, and I think it's great that Ripped to Shreds are putting the same care into the thematic core as they do their music itself. Okay, we're going to talk about what else has changed next, because for me, the most noticeable change or improvement in this album is the solos. I like that Lee plays in multiple genres of heavy metal, and it's particularly relevant to note here that he is in that shredding Yigni Malmsteen style trad metal project, which is called, again, Andrew Lee's Heavy Metal Shrapnel, because he's bringing that style of shredding into Ripped to Shreds. And the impact of that style of soloing in a grinding death metal album with like HM2 buzz is quite strong. Hear it for yourself. This is Horrendous Corpse Resurrection. Playing more to his shredding strengths was a goal for Andrew on this album. He talks about it in that Invisible Orange interview, and you can really hear it. Sanshi is just full of 6 solos that are really shredding and fun. I've actually told several of my friends and like my husband this week that this album is just making me happy. There's something about it that just like makes me want to thump my chest like Donkey Kong. You might have also noticed that the things that I'm saying about it are relatively short, and I'm playing longer segments. And the reason that I'm doing that is because the album really makes me want to close my eyes and bang my head and dance. The music speaks for itself. This shit is great. Good job, Andrew and company. So, what does this mean for a rating? I haven't rated an album this high in quite some time, but I have to say that I'm really happy with Sanshi. The songwriting is fantastic, and it's really diverse, and it oscillates between this like grinding violence to sing-alongs and these great solos, which are like floating above this like fantastic death metal. And thematically, it's just interesting. Like every time I finish playing this record this week, I would press play again. That's a good sign. And for all those reasons, it's going to receive 4.5 skulls out of 5 here on Overkill. I'm never again giving anything 5 out of 5. That was a mistake last time. Nothing is perfect. It's time for the shoutouts. And I got some good ones for you this week. First up, Helvetets Port, Warlords. I've seen a lot of people say that they were unable to get into the Swedish outfit previously, and honestly, I was among them. However, with Warlords, Helvetets Port has finally reached a perfect balance between the strangeness of their previous releases and an utterly infectious melody. This is pure, straightforward heavy metal in all caps, and it's reminiscent of Heavy Load and Gotham City and Thor, and it's fantastic. Warlords is party music for the end of the world. If you're still not convinced, head straight to the track Helveti Pa Larvfotter. It's the most infectious song they've ever written. It's sing-along bliss. Warlords should easily grace my best albums of 2024 list. Next up, highly recommend the new release by Xanathar. The track is called Thunders Over Water Deep. I haven't recommended a demo for quite some time, so there's no time like now. I recently discovered one-man Italian band Xanathar, who released a 10-minute song called Thunders Over Water Deep on August 30th, and it absolutely blew me away. Within is black metal, epic doom, wild soloing, dungeon synth, full-on shredding, and shrieking from the abyss-style vocals beside Pavarotti-esque warbling. Buy it or die. Third, and finally, my favorite band of the last decade, who I've spoken about comprehensively by a banger in the past, has finally released their full-length debut. Germany's own Grendel's Sister is in a genre of one. This band makes extremely unusual music that veers between traditional folk and epic metal and features the clipped bardic vocals of their vocalist, Caro. After releasing their 2020 EP, I reached out to the band and kind of offered/begged them if I could do some artwork for them. So in the vinyl and CD editions of this new album, you can see my illustrations. So that's kind of cool. I draw shit now. If you like primordial bardic hymns for forest dwellers and magic seekers, seek it out. Okay, that's it. I'm gonna go on an adventure with this weird pillow now. Why does that pillow look like me? It doesn't make sense. Let's just get a little closer to it. It's so weird. It's basically the same thing.